I found my peace being a lunatic audiophile, and I'm happy with this position. Tell me something. I'm Zino Mikorey. Welcome to Zino Mikorey Mastering Berlin. I'm fascinated with what's possible. If you think about a waveform like this, it's really the most boring signal. Look at this. It's 2 voltages on left and right, but encoded in this is the whole space. All this energy and music and up and down and rooms and timbres, materials. Mastering is making a decision, envisioning where it should be, and then finding a way to go there. I have a straight vision, I know exactly where I want to go, and then it's just a matter of time. And if it's 4 hours on a song, it's fucking 4 hours on a song. If you work with people that are doing it for the music and or themselves, there is much less fear involved. There is different decision making, because it's not about how is this going to sound on the radio, It's only about this piece of music and this moment in time. So what I try to be is to have the master sound outside of the speakers. And that's my biggest goal, because if it sounds outside of my speakers here, that means on my laptop, it will be above the keys. And if I do all of this intentionally and also walk the line in between, like I want to have it as punchy as possible, but I also need to go level. I want to have it as powerful as possible, but I also need to have it bright, and just find this way through the jungle to the point that I switch and go like, ah. And the mix is in the speakers, there's all these elements in the speakers, and you switch to the master and it's just a band playing for you, and you don't think about it anymore. You don't think about the sound anymore, you just go like, yeah, this is the music. Most people have a sound, and I try to not have a sound. And if I ever hear that somebody says, yeah, oh, I love that you always do this and that, then I would immediately think about like, why am I doing this? Anything that you constantly do, you get so hung up in it and used to it that you can't hear it anymore. If you get back a master from me, you will hear the rooms are bigger, the low end is different, it has all these beneficial things that happened. But if you listen back to your mix, I'm not really there. It's almost as if the mix is better now, but if you take 10 songs I mastered that have nothing to do with each other, you put them on one CD and you level match them easily. You can easily release that. 8 years ago I had to leave my old studio. So I knew that I have to find a place in a building and then build it all myself. And most of the time when I talk to somebody who's an acoustician, they had obviously more experience and built more studios, but the stuff I was asking and the stuff I was thinking about, they weren't thinking about it as much. And then I heard about Thomas Juanjean and his room concept, and the room concept is genius in terms of that it's 2 rooms in one. So the room concept by Thomas Juanjean of Northwood Acoustic is the front to back room. That means the energy goes from the front to the back, and that's it. And the diffusers are just for us, so we don't get that we're in a dead room. So for the speakers, the room is completely dead. They shoot, nothing comes back. For us, we sit in front of this huge screen and the glass, so there's reflections. There's reflections from the ceiling, reflections from the back. So it's 2 rooms in one. For us, to not get into an emergency mode and have weird hearing. And for the speakers, the room is not there. The best thing about this room is it doesn't have a tonality. So every key is played back with the same power. Every other room has a key that has full power and a key where it doesn't have power because you fall into the comb filter that it has. So with the speakers, the biggest modification we did on them, we exchanged all the op amps, which I think 16 gain stages in total, which much higher slew rate, way cleaner op amps. Then we decoupled each op amp from the power supply. So in the very end, we did the left one first and left the right one unchanged. And I was switching in between the two, and the first thing I said is like, fake news. I don't know why this new fake setting suits the song so well, but it's impossible this big of a difference worked out. And then I did something, I pressed mono and I listened to it and it was dead center. And then I already had an idea, like if it's dead center, that means it can't be fake news. And then my tech took both of the amps home and he measured them, and by accident we removed 10 dB of distortion, and 6 dB is half. So they have less than half distortion now, which results in much more punch, obviously way more root versus the harmonics. Then, for example, the attack and sustain of a hi-hat, or how the room sounds, how compression limiting is affecting the top end, is way more obvious. The cleaner your listening path, the more obvious bad distortion is and the more obvious good distortion is, because you're not listening through some milky glasses or yellow glasses, but the glasses are actually clean, so you're able to look at it or listen to it in a much different way. So these are my main EQs, the cleanest tube EQ on the planet and the cleanest solid state EQ. I use those because I can do whatever I want without having to be careful about headroom or anything, because they have such a wide sweet spot. I can literally do anything. And that's why I'm also so torn to the limiter, because it also has a super wide sweet spot, a very fast release, but a clean, dark release. It has so much punch in the low end. And you can think about it like this. The distortion has to come from somewhere. The energy has to come from somewhere. And it always comes from the lowest notes, so from the root notes of any instrument. So the better a circuit is, the more it will be able to recreate this low-end sub-transient. That's why I love my converters, because they don't have any measurable distortion. So the power you get from them, think about a huge orchestral drum. It is really coming out of the speaker and hitting you, which sometimes creates problems because other converters would flatten it already, so you don't have to limit it as much. And I think that the BX Limited True Peak is somehow able to create this punch without being slow, without being dark, without changing the rooms too much, and I can hear that crazily. My advice to anyone that wants to get into mastering or wants to get into audio is get better speakers, get a better DAC, get better cabling, set that up in a way that your room supports it, and do that first, and then you get into acoustics, then you get into all the processing. And the next tip I would have is think about your catalog. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to work with? Where do you want to be? What kind of life, what kind of daily life do you want to have?